Well, one thing that you did with all of those feelings and all of those issues through your journey is you created something called RockScarLove.
Yes,
Talk about kind of what that is. What is your message? What's your mission statement? And how does it apply to the transplant community?
Well, RockScarLove it's t-shirts, shorts, and sportswear. Right now specifically designed for the transplant community. And why I created it is I have a real passion to see patients take accountability for their new lives. You are now living with a piece of two people, yourself and whoever's organ you got. And majority of them are deceased donors. Some of them are living, but majority of them are deceased donors. And my belief is you have a moral and ethical responsibility to really step up to the plate and go out and live a full, normal life, which I believe, go back to work. Before I started working for myself, I worked 40, 50 hours a week. I own a house. I work out very hard. You can do all those very normal things. Very few cases truly don't have the capability to do that if they want to. Just unfortunately, I see sometimes patients use it as an excuse on why they can't. They might use an excuse on why they can't work or why they can't work out.
Why is that? What is it about, and I'm asking because I'm not, I don't have that transplant in me or whatever, but what is it about that would make somebody say, I can't live a normal life? Do they just feel like they don't deserve it? What is it about that?
I'm just strictly guessing here because I think most of the people I run into kind of know better with me to voice the victim mentality. But they do, they become victims, and I think part of that is probably anger, that this was their journey. And, depending on the situation and what their family dynamics were, they're babied so much and they're kept in such a victim role, especially like if you see a child who is transplanted as a child and grows up to an adult. They are sometimes so sheltered by their family, they don't really know how to get out of that role. But there's adults who will use it as reasons to go on disability or use it as reasons to not work or not work out. And I think it just becomes a, I'm entitled mentality, which I don't think, the only thing I'm entitled to at this point is the responsibility to really step up and live my life. And that doesn't mean there's not really rough days, because there are days that, you can be 17 years out of transplant like me, or 3 years out of transplant, and you kind of wake up and you have your moment of anger and you're kind of like, seriously, this is what I got? And then you have a bad day for a day or two, and then you brush off and you step up and keep going.
So basically, I guess what I'm hearing is that RockScarLove, and it kind of stems from your heart to say, we have a responsibility to not just live our lives abundantly for ourselves, but the person who gave us the opportunity to live.
Yes.
And so it's almost like you're living doubly. Like you're,
Yes.
You're almost like living twice as great because you've been given that second chance. Where can people go for more information about RockScarLove?
They can go online to rockscarlove.com. They can also find us on Facebook. We have a company page on there. So
it's great, and it's great where and one of the things that I read that you had written that I thought was interesting is the T-shirts are designed for when a transplantee, is it transplantee?
Transplantee, yes.
Yeah, okay. Someone who has had a transplant, they get to wear this shirt, and it stirs up someone saying, "What does that mean?" And you share your story. Why is that important to you that people share their transplant story?
For a couple reasons. Obviously, there is a need for organ donation, but for me, I want to see, society change their views of transplant patients. There are a lot of people out there who still view us as victims and view us as, oh gosh, look at that transplant patient. They must be sick all the time. They must have a limited life. So I want to see people who are really proud have an opportunity to tell their story. And I think a lot of the transplant stuff out there is so serious that it doesn't give the opportunity to people feel safe to ask the question. So the way I've tried to design my stuff is that it's got a sense of humor. It'll make you chuckle, and it provides a safe place for that outside person to go, oh gosh, just transplant really cost more than like I have a shirt that says like new but more expensive. Does it cost more?
Yeah.
You know, does it cost a lot? So they can start talking about it, and it's a safe environment, because I think that's really, really important, as well as transplant patients need to learn how to tell their story in safe environments. And the more people they tell, the safer that story becomes for them, and the more it becomes a part of who they are, but not defining all they are.
That's good. That's good. I kind of want to talk to y'all a little bit about the donor aspect of this, because I think that there are some myths and maybe some misconceptions and maybe misunderstandings about the donors. Amy, what would you say are some, maybe people think about when someone is going to be a donor or not? What are some of those?
I think there's two major misconceptions. The first one is that, you know, if you're taken into the emergency room with a head injury or something happens, that the medical team is not going to do everything in their power to save your life. And that's not true, because the Organ Procurement Agency, which for Atlanta, it's, or actually for all of Georgia, it's LifeLink of Georgia, they are the ones who go to the donor families and ask permission to have their organs for recipients, and they're the ones who schedule the doctors and the nurses coming in and taking the organs. They can't even approach the family member until that person is brain dead.
Okay.
So their bodies are being kept alive by a machine, but there's no brain activity.
Okay.
So that's, you know, usually the number one misconception is people have a fear that, you know, they're not going to use every effort to save that person's life. Number two, I think a great misunderstanding is people of certain financial statuses or celebrities, they don't get organs quicker than anybody else. So
okay, and because some people might think, well, if you've got money or if you've got a status, that you would be, your name gets bumped to the list because you can pay for it, but that's not how it works.
no, that's not how it works at all.
Okay, do you know where can somebody go for more information about being a donor, or maybe that they just want to get more information about this?
You can go to donatelifegeorgia.org. It's where you can sign on as a donor. And also there's information there about statistics on how many people are waiting. There's information about, you know, different religions, because I think one of the misconceptions a lot of time is that somebody's religion doesn't approve of organ donation. You know, there's all kinds of information there for them.
Okay, so it's important to be educated. I don't care who you are, where you are, but it's always important to be educated about everything, but this is no different. And especially coming from two beautiful people sitting on this couch, knowing that that you could possibly be the person to give life to somebody. And again, to me, that is just moving to know that somebody gave up their life so that you could live, but y'all aren't wasting the opportunity. And that is a treasure.
Well, I think it is important. I know as a recipient, and I was quite young when I dealt with this, so I kind of had obviously more of a teenage mentality, that somebody had to die for me to live, and that's not a perception that needs to be thought about potential recipients out there. Someone doesn't die for you. It's just, this is part of the outcome of what happens when somebody die. So I think it needs, because a lot of people, I think recipients really struggle because they feel like some cosmic choice was made between them and that other person, and that person was going to pass away anyways, whatever way they did, because that choice, you know, the family is the one that chooses after the fact.
Yes.